Hello. Today I'm going to teach you some watercolors using just very simple 12 color watercolors. And I thought I'd do two projects on a little 5x7 paper. The first one is a rainbow, one of the easiest things to do with watercolors, and because it's been raining lately. And the second one is a pansy, or you can do any type of flower. I like to do pansies because they have two colors on them. And I often combine the colors I like. You can see I did a blue and a yellow, and I did a background on this one. But if you just want to do a very simple thing, another good flower to do is an iris. And they're small. And even if you don't like that shape, you can always just do a heart. This heart has red and yellow in it. And it just has one color on the edge. So these are very simple projects to do. Okay, so once again, I just want to remind you that there's different sizes of brushes to use when you're doing a small watercolor. 0, 2, 3, and this one's a 4. Basically, the larger the size, the more pigment and water it holds. For this one, I typically use my size 3. If you use the brush that comes with the Prang watercolors, that's okay. It's just very fluffy. And it doesn't have a point to the end, so it just may disperse your paint a bit different. But if that's all you got, use it. Also, if you are just buying a brand of watercolors and you want a really good one, this one's called Yarka, and it's just got a little bit of honey or something in it that makes it stick better than this. But quite often when I'm teaching, I just use this brand called Prang, which has got 8 basic colors. You can see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. All of this is extra colors that I've squirted on the plastics, or I combined colors, created my own. That's why it's so messy, but any of these are fine. Okay, so my technique has always been put the water first, then add the pigment. However, if you're a person that's not sure where to put the water, then just take a pencil and sketch your plan. So if we were making a rainbow, I would simply draw where I want it to go very lightly and where I want it to end. If you draw too dark, the pencil will show through. So sometimes you have to slightly erase your plan. And that's okay. Some people are just more confident. So you're basically doing one line where you want it to start and one line where you want it to end, and maybe your ground level. And for the rainbow, of course, you want to remember the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Okay, but those colors can all be created with your 3 primary colors: red, yellow, and blue. So we're going to put the water first, we're going to put the red, then we're going to put the yellow, tip our board so that we can combine the yellow and the red to make the orange. And then we will put on the purpley blue. So the purpley blue will mix with the yellow to get the greens in between. There's not much space, so if you don't get all the colors, that's okay. If it looks like it's rained together and not even lines, that's okay, because that's how rainbows are. They're formed by water droplets. Finally, I just want you to remember that it'll be beautiful because you created it. I go really fast, so if you need to pause the video at any time, go ahead. So first thing I'm doing is putting my water on, and I'm putting my water everywhere where I want the pigment to take on. So up to the lines, very quickly. And this is absorbent watercolor paper. It's Strathmore. It is called cold press watercolor, 140 pounds. Okay, And I cut it to this 5 by 11 size, but you can actually buy it in this style. You can buy it online, you can buy it at Art Placement. Okay, also I've taped the edges with just normal masking tape. Okay, the water's on. I'm gonna put a little more. All right, water, water everywhere. Now, first color I'm putting is red. So I'm dipping into the red, kind of putting it 3 or 4 dips into it. I have a tester piece of paper over here so I can test how red it is. Okay, so I'm putting the red, touching along the edge of my rainbow. I'm going to put the red at the top. Okay, quickly cleaning my brush, quickly going to the yellow. So I'm dipping 3 times into the yellow, and I am touching it close to the red, still in the water, and I'm tilting it upside down, sideways. You see the red flowing into the yellow. You tilt your board. If you need more water, put more water. It allows the colors to join. You sort of don't want any dry spots. And before that is dry, you want to put your purpley blues on. So this is a very purpley color. Test it out if you need to. I'm going to put my purple at the bottom. I'm going to clean my brush, put a little blue because the kit has a blue in it, right beside the purple. Lots of blue. And then I'm going to tip my board upside down so the colors combine. Watch me put the water here to make it drain. Water. Okay, you see it's sort of raining together, upside down. It's supposed to be creating the green. If you think, well, I've not got the green, you can put more yellow in there. Just pigment. See how it's dripping only where your water was. You can sort of let it drain onto your tape so that it goes off the edge. You can use paper towel to kind of dab your tape. And then you can lay it down to dry. So setting aside to dry for a few minutes. I'm going to work on my second one while that one dries before I put the background. Now my second one, I'm going to make a flower. I think I will make a pansy. So I want to gently make one leaf, gently draw a second one, touching. The leaves are touching, and kind of a little circle in the middle. I don't know if you can see that, just very, very light, so I have a guideline of where to paint. Okay, I'm going to do one petal at a time. So I'm going to put the water in the bottom petal. The 2 colors I like to combine on a pansy are purple and yellow. I put the water all over the petal. I'm going to use my number 1 brush. It's tinier. I'm going to take the purple and put it on the edge. Very sort of a dark pigment. You know, you tilt your board so that it bleeds into where the water is. This is very absorbent paper. And before it is absorbed, change your colors. So I am going to put my yellow in the center. I'm just touching the yellow into the center. See, it's not even touching the purple. Now I use the board to allow the water to combine them. And it only goes where the water is. Now, if something like that occurs that you don't like, remember you can dip your brush into water, touch it, and dab it on to some paper towel. It's like sponging it up. Your brush is like a sponge. Try not to paint with strokes. Try to let the water do the work. Okay, that's one petal. I'm going to work on this petal that's adjacent from it or across from it. So I'm only putting the water on first. Very quickly. All right, ready for my purple. If you want to put if you want to put the yellow on first, you can. So I'm going to paint lots of yellow on this one, all through. Clean my brush, now for the purple. Touching the edges. Not forcing it, just letting the water combine it. I hope you can see that. Okay. I'm going to set this aside. Come back to my rainbow. There's some water here that I want to drain off. So I'm going to touch my brush to it and sort of take it off. Okay, so now what I'm going to work on is the bottom. I'm just going to make a greenish gray ground. So putting water everywhere. If I touch the paint, the purple will move, so be it. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of green. Touch the top. Going to use a little bit of black. So I'm just holding it up to let the water drain down. And then I'm going to set it down because I'm going to do the sky last. Back to our pansy. 2 more petals to do. These petals are pretty dry. Okay. Putting water on this area. All right, trying not to touch the other petals. Try to clean your brush off really good between. That's why it's a little bit gray, because the last color I'd used on it was black. I'm gonna do my purple. Add some yellow. Keep tilting my board to let the colors mix. I'm going to do my 4th petal. Water first. Purple next. Yellow. Tilting. And I just added water to dry spots. Okay, this one is, I will let it dry because those petals are fairly wet. Remember, you can take excess water off by just touching your brush and touching it to a paper towel to dab it off. If you want it to dry a little quicker, some people even use hair blowers or hair dryers to dry it quicker. But this is a small amount of space, so it doesn't take that long. And of course, if your paper isn't as absorbent, it might take longer if you're just using ordinary paper. Okay, so this one now, you can see that it dries a lot paler than what the colors you put on. So people at this point always want to darken it up. I would suggest not to. The way to get darker pigments in watercolors is to buy paint that's in tubes that is darker to begin with. So, for example, if you were using this yellow, this kind of paint, the pigments would be darker. But by just using the simple praying paint, just leave it like this. There's no sense going over it. It looks really nice. And so I think we're just going to try and do our sky now, but we don't want our sky to be darker than the rainbow. So once again, water first. I'm going to go to a size 4 brush to get it on quicker, because I want to do all the sky at one time, and it holds more water. Okay, water's in my sky. If you want to create a blue or different blues, you can't really. Blue's a primary, but if you want to mix it with a bit of purple, you can. Otherwise, just go with the blue that's in your paint set. You can paint, because that's pretty purpley. You can paint around the edges if you like of the paper and touching your rainbow. That's a certain effect. It's how you get this effect, if you like that. A lot of kids or a lot of people just like to fill in their whole sky. I like to have variations in my paintings, but it's up to you. So I'm just painting near the rainbow and near the ground here. I'm letting the water kind of water it down. I just like that look for some reason. And it gives the effect that there's clouds. You also might want to try a little bit of black in here, so it looks like it actually appears very gray. So if you put some gray and have some white spots, then it really does kind of look like it's raining. You could have had a completely gray sky and that still would emphasize the rainbow. Use water to fill in any spots to make it really watery. Okay, and now I'm going to let that one dry. Back to the background of my pansy. Actually, my pansy goes this way. Okay. Because I've used purple and yellow, I think I'm going to use a greeny blue background for this one. So same thing. I want to put water everywhere in the background. But I'm going to start with this quarter. And you notice if I touch a petal, the color leaks into the background, and that's okay. I'm going to use green mixed with blue. Tilt it a bit. Now water over here. Okay, here we go. Lots of water, greeny blue. Gotta work really quickly. Now I'm back to water. See how quickly I do it? I'm using my size 3 brush. Green and blue mixed together. That gives it kind of a tealy color. Letting it run, tipping it back, letting it run, tipping it back. And finally, water on this quadrant very quickly. No dry spots. Not caring if the purple gets into it. This is water here. Oops, purpley blue. I meant to put purpley green. So that effect, it's very wet looking. It's called atmospheric watercolors when you use a wet on wet technique. The only thing we haven't done is the center of that pansy, which I can do when it's dry a little bit. You can also put marker when it's dry, and the marker can pick out features like you could outline the pansy, you could put dots on the center. Same with your rainbow picture. Here's what the rainbow picture looks while it's dry. If you want, you could put a black line to outline the edges of it, or a black line to outline the horizon. I'll show you a picture where added features have been added. Okay, here's a rainbow one. So I sort of added flowers when it was very, very dry. This one, of course, it was done on larger. I added the musical notes. I added the umbrella and the person. And this effect was created by throwing salt on it when it's wet. That's a bigger project. I can give you a link to this exact project if you like. Here is the Pansy Project. Here's where I use different colors in the background. I had a lot of white around it because I wanted some white spots to go with this white bag. So I did the same thing here. I was using much more vibrant colored paints. That's why they're so dark looking. But if this was your iris or your pansy and you had this and you wanted to enhance it, like I said, you can outline the edges with a marker to highlight where the water went, if you want. You can use a thick marker or a thin marker. That's up to you. So like I said, on the rainbow picture, if you really want to add something, add a tiny bit, a little bit of grass. Okay, and then when you take your tape off, remember to pull down perpendicular so you're not ripping your paper if you're using this absorbent paper. And there's your finished project. Sign it, maybe date it. Awesome. Okay, I'll finish the pansy for you. Maybe. See, this petal really got washed away. So that's why I'm using marker. It's still fairly wet, so it's not working very well. Marker will not work if it's still wet, but it's okay. You can do that when it's dry. Let's just show you what it looks like. There is a very watery pansy. So enhance it how you like when you're done. Sign it, date it. So I am happy that you followed today. And if you would like more art lessons, I do have them online. They're just pictures. I wrote them about, I don't know, 9-10 years ago. And they're at a website called www.brighthub.education.com. And if you just Google my name, you will find some watercolor art projects for spring, more like this, more for students, more for adults, people just beginning learning, doing small projects that just want to learn the basics. So I hope you enjoyed this one and have a great day.